The twin suns of Krylos were setting, casting long shadows over the jagged, crystalline landscape of the planet's surface. In a small, dimly lit cave on the outskirts of the bustling alien city of Zentaris, a mother named Zyra clutched her child tightly to her chest. Her translucent, bioluminescent skin pulsed faintly with worry, her 4 eyes glistening with unshed tears. Her child, a tiny being named Kylo, was barely conscious, his breathing shallow and his skin dulling from its usual vibrant blue to a sickly gray. Zyra's heart ached as she rocked Kylo gently, her voice trembling as she whispered soothing words in their native tongue. "Hold on, my little star. Please hold on." Kylo's illness was rare, even among their species. It was a genetic disorder that attacked the body's ability to process energy from the twin suns, leaving him weak and vulnerable. The only cure was a rare medicine called Solarix, synthesized from the crystalline plants that grew deep within the planet's caverns. But obtaining it was nearly impossible for someone like Zyra. The medicine was controlled by the wealthy elite of Zentaris, who hoarded it for themselves, selling it at exorbitant prices. Zyra, a lowly scavenger, had no hope of affording it. She had tried everything, begging, bartering, even stealing, but every attempt had failed. The city's enforcers had caught her trying to sneak into a pharmaceutical warehouse and had beaten her mercilessly, leaving her with a broken arm and a warning to stay away. Desperation had driven her to the edge of despair. She had no one to turn to, no one who would help her. Until the human arrived. The human's name was Jace Carter, a freelance trader who had come to Krylos in search of rare minerals to sell back on Earth. He was tall, with rugged features and a kind smile that seemed out of place in the harsh environment of Zentaris. Jace had been wandering the outskirts of the city, looking for a place to set up camp, when he heard the faint sound of crying. Curiosity piqued. He followed the sound to the mouth of a small cave. Inside, he found Zyra, her body trembling as she held her dying child. Jace's heart went out to her. He had seen suffering before, on Earth, on other planets. But there was something about the raw, unfiltered pain in Zyra's eyes that struck a chord deep within him. "Hey," he said softly, crouching down at the entrance of the cave. "Are you okay?" Zyra's head snapped up, her eyes widening in fear. She had heard stories of humans, violent, unpredictable creatures who cared only for profit. She clutched Kylo tighter, her voice trembling as she spoke in broken galactic common. "Go away. Leave us alone." Jace raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm not here to hurt you. I heard crying. I want to help." Zyra hesitated, her instincts warring with the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this human could save her child. After a long moment, she nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "My child, he is dying. He needs medicine." "Solarix?" Jace frowned. He had heard of Solarix before. It was a highly sought-after commodity, one that could fetch a high price on the black market. But he also knew how difficult it was to obtain. He glanced at Kylo, his heart aching at the sight of the small, fragile being struggling to breathe. "Okay," Jace said, his voice firm. "I'll get it for you." Zyra's eyes widened in disbelief. You will?" Jace nodded. "Yeah, just stay here. I'll be back as soon as I can." Jace's first stop was the city's black market, a sprawling network of underground tunnels where anything and everything could be bought and sold for the right price. He approached a dealer he had done business with before, a grizzled alien named Vrax who had a reputation for being able to get his hands on anything. "Solarix?" Vrax repeated, his voice dripping with skepticism. "That's not easy to come by, human. Even for me." "I don't care how hard it is," Jace said, his voice firm. "I need it. Now." Vrax studied him for a long moment before finally nodding. "Fine. but it'll cost you a lot. Jace didn't hesitate. He handed over nearly all the credits he had earned from his trading, along with a rare mineral he had been planning to sell back on Earth. Vrax took the payment with a satisfied grin and handed over a small vial of glowing liquid. "Pleasure doing business with you, human," Vrax said as Jace turned to leave. "But be careful. The enforcers don't take kindly to people messing with their precious solarics." Jace didn't respond. He had what he needed, and that was all that mattered. The journey back to the cave was fraught with danger. Jace had to navigate through the city's labyrinthine streets, avoiding the enforcers who patrolled the area. He could feel the weight of the vial in his pocket, a constant reminder of what was at stake. He couldn't fail. Not now. When he finally reached the cave, he found Zyra exactly where he had left her, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. Jace knelt down beside her and held out the vial. "I got it," he said, his voice soft. "Here?" Zyra's hands trembled as she took the vial, her eyes filling with tears. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Thank you." She carefully administered the medicine to Kylo, her movements gentle and precise. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Kylo's breathing began to steady, his skin regaining its vibrant blue hue. Zyra let out a sob of relief, clutching her child to her chest as tears streamed down her face. Jace watched in silence, a lump forming in his throat. He had seen a lot of things in his life, but nothing had ever felt as rewarding as this. In the days that followed, Jace stayed with Zyra and Kylo, helping them recover and rebuild their lives. He taught Zyra how to defend herself, how to navigate the city's dangerous streets, and how to find work that would allow her to provide for her child. In return, Zyra shared with him the secrets of Krylos, its hidden caves, its rare minerals, and its ancient history. As the weeks turned into months, Jace found himself growing attached to the alien mother and her child. He had never had a family of his own, but with Zyra and Kylo, he felt a sense of belonging that he had never known before. One evening, as the twin suns set over the horizon, Jace sat with Zyra and Kylo outside the cave, watching as the sky turned a deep shade of purple. Kylo, now fully recovered, was playing with a small crystal he had found, his laughter filling the air. Zyra turned to Jace, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You saved us," she said softly. "I will never be able to repay you." Jace smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. "You don't have to," he said. "Just seeing you two happy is enough." Zyra reached out and took his hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "You are not just a human to us, Jace. You are family." Jace felt a lump form in his throat as he squeezed her hand. "And you are mine," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. As they sat there, watching the stars come out one by one, Jace knew that he had found something truly precious. A home, a family, and a love that transcended species and galaxies. And for the first time in his life, he felt truly at peace.